Welcome to another episode of the Blitz and Glory podcast with Alec Peccato. Today on the show, you're going to find out who my top 70 offenses and defenses are for the 2025 season, as well as my top 15 quarterbacks. Take a guess at who you think my number one offense and number one defense is for 2025 college football. I will be giving you the rankings right now. Let me pull them up. And we start with the offenses. At number 70, and let me explain how I'm ranking these offenses and defenses. I looked over every depth chart in college football for all FBS teams. And that's how I am ranking it. So we start at number 70, and it is Maryland. And Maryland fans, I don't want to say there's no hope for your offense this year, but there's minimal. There is a little bit of hope for your defense this year, your offense this year. But I can't see you scoring more than 15 points per game and winning 4 or 5 games. And the position that worries me the most on your offense, it's not your offensive line. You actually have a half decent offensive line. It is your quarterback. Your quarterback position is not very good. Then we get to number 69. Nice. Kentucky. And Kentucky, you're kind of in the same. These teams that are at the bottom of the offensive rankings, like Kentucky at number 69. Kentucky fans, this might be the time for you to start thinking about who your next head coach should be, because I don't think Mark Stoops is going to make it through the season. I think he's going to get fired after a horrible start by your offense. And you'll see later on where I have your defense ranked. It's right around the same spot in the rankings, but I just don't believe in your offense. At 68 is Delaware. First year in Division 1 in the FBS, and they're in the CUSA. They might be one of those offenses I might have missed on late. When we come back and look at this after the season's over, Delaware might be one of those offenses that I got wrong. But I like the potential, but they have a lot of underclassmen that are starting. At 67 is Rutgers. And Rutgers fans, don't be mad at me. I like Ethan Kaliak McManus, but the reason you're down here is you have a whole new running back room. Kyle Monangai's gone. Your receiving room got overhauled, and it's a bunch of inexperienced young guys. And same with your tight end room. Offensive line is okay. 66 is UMass. This explains itself. Okay, good. 60 UMass offense, it explains itself in a nutshell. It was horrid last year, and I don't think it's going to be any better this year. 65 is Fresno State, and we've already seen one game out of them, and they had a transfer starting at quarterback, and they only scored 7 points against Kansas. And if that's any indication how their offense is going to be this year, I'm worried for Fresno State fans. 64, Arkansas. I'm going to this. Yes, I know you have Taylor Green, but my problem with your offense is too much inexperience on that side of the football, whether it be wide receiver, whether it be your offensive line, whether it be skill position players like running backs. You just have too much inexperience on that side of the football right now. Now, maybe when we come back to this after the season's over, maybe I was wrong on your offense. 63 through 56. Offense. Number 63, Georgia State. Georgia State brings back a quite a bit on offense, but I'm still skeptical that in all these teams, most of these teams played their first game this week, so we'll see what their offenses look like. But Georgia State's at 63. I like the production they bring back, but I'm just not sold on some of the freshmen and sophomores that are probably going to get playing time this year for Georgia State. At 62 is Ball State. Ball State's offense was middle of the pack last year, and I think this is kind of where I think they'll be this year again. And I can't see them being at the end of the year any higher than like middle to end of the 60s in defense offensive rankings. 61 is BYU, and they're starting a freshman quarterback in Bear Bachmeier, who has very little experience. And I would have had them inside the top 40, but they lost Jake Ratzloff. And like I just said, we haven't really seen what Bear Bachmeier can do. So therefore, that's why BYU is at 61. At number 60 is Kennesaw State. Their offense last year was anemic. To be nice, to be frank with Kennesaw State fans, your offense was anemic last year. I think it's going to be a little bit better this year. That's why it's inside the top 60. At number 59 is Air Force. Air Force had a decent year last year, but offensively, their offense was okay. I like some of the pieces they bring back on offense this season, and maybe they can improve on their offense this year. At 58 is North Texas. And I've been hearing all this hype all offseason about North Texas being a dark horse sleeper team in the American. And I go look at the roster, I can actually see their offense and defense being really good this year. You'll see where I have their defense ranked in a little bit. But I really like the pieces they have in offense at quarterback, running back, and the skill positions of wide receiver and tight end, as well as their offensive line. 57 is Virginia. And Virginia's offense last year, we saw they had some games where they were good, but they also had some games they were just anemic on offense. It could not put up any points. No, that's tonight. And I don't like their QB situation they have this year at Virginia. Number 56, Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, maybe they found their quarterback in Billy Edwards Jr. I don't know if I can get behind that. But we'll see. 55 through 49. 55 at 55, the 55th ranked offensive team in my rankings this year is Utah State. And yes, they did lose a lot in the portal, which is like a lot of teams did lose a lot in the portal, but I still like what they have on offense there in Logan, Utah. And I think Utah State has a chance to be this is like the upper tier, middle of the pack offensive rankings right here. in the 50s and the 40s. At 54 is UCLA, and I put them here because Nico transferred to UCLA, and I think Nico's actually going to have a breakout season this year at UCLA and revitalize his college football career in a way. At 53 is Central Michigan, and the Chippewas. They have a lot to be left desired. That's why they're middle. That's why they're in this portion of the offensive rankings. And I mean, I could go out on a limb and say maybe Central Michigan ends up in the top 40 at the end of the season. Maybe not. At 52 is Arizona. And Arizona's offense has nowhere to go but up. I know they lost Ted McMillan, but I still believe in Noah Fafita. And now we're going to see how good Noah Fafita can actually be without his number one receiver and Ted McMillan, who's now in the NFL with the Carolina Panthers. At number 51 is TCU. And their offense, there's some teams I had trouble really putting in a firm spot in the rankings. And TCU, Arizona, Memphis, NC State, Iowa were a couple of the teams that I struggled to properly rank. Because I didn't want to put them too high, and I didn't want to put them too low in the rankings. Because I don't want to upset anybody's fan base. Trying to be even keel here and fair. But Josh Hubert's back for TCU, and I think their offense is going to be good this year. Number 50, Memphis. Memphis would have been higher in the rankings if they still had Seth Hennigan, but they don't have Seth Hennigan anymore. So I had to put them at number 50, and they lost a few other guys. Rock Thomas, they lost Blake Watson, Seth Hennigan, of course. If those guys would have been able to come back for another year, they would have been in the higher up in the offensive rankings. At number 49 is NC State. And I think CJ Bailey, he took over halfway through the year last year for Grayson McCall, who was injured. I think a full year of CJ Bailey and this NC State Dave Dorn offense is going to be better than he was last year. And I know they lost Casey Concepcion to the transfer portal. But they have some receivers that came in that are ready to compete and help NC State maybe outside chance, maybe win the ACC. At number 48 is Iowa. And yes, Iowa's got a new offensive coordinator. They've got a new quarterback and Mark Gronowski. Iowa fans, let me know if I said that name right. I don't know if I did. Can y'all still hear me? Freaking 47 through 40. At number 47 is Oklahoma State. Rico Flores is the starting quarterback for Oklahoma State. I like some of the weapons they have on offense this year. If they can click, they'll be in good shape. If they can't, that's going to be a problem. 46. I'm going to zoom through some of these. 46, Oregon State. They got Malik Murphy from Duke. And I like that move for Malik Murphy. He kind of gets out of the big stage of being in the ACC and he goes to the Pac-2, which will be the Pac-12 next year. 45, Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt had one of the better mid-tier offenses in the SEC last year. 44, Bowling Green. 43, Duke. 42, East Carolina. 41, UNLV. And we saw you. I'll say this. We've already seen UNLV's offense through one game, and they put up over 30 points. So this is one of the offenses that I might have to slide up the rankings at some point. And we'll see at the end of the year where they end up. Number 40, USC. Jaden Maeva is the quarterback at USC, and I like that he's the starting quarterback there. 39 through 32. We go Navy at 39. Triple option offense. Unfair to try to play defense against. 38, Western Kentucky. We've seen Western Kentucky already this year. Their offense with Maverick McIver looks really good. 37, Auburn. What? 2 words. Jackson Arnold. I like Jackson Arnold a lot. 35. 36, Nebraska. Dylan, and you'll hear me say this name again in the next segment of the show. Dylan Raiola. I think this is year 3 under Scott. Why did I almost say Scott Frost? Year 3 under Matt Rule. What has Matt Rule done in year 3 at the other 2 places he coached at college? His team has won 10 games. I think Nebraska and Dylan Raiola are in for a 10-win season. 35, Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets, Haynes King's back. Jamal Haynes is back. They did lose a couple of receivers, but I still like their offense being in this area. 33, Illinois. Luke Altmaier's back. 32, Southern Miss. Watch out for Southern Miss. Their offense is going to be dangerous this year. They have 50, I think it's 52 or 53, maybe even 54 new players on their team. They pulled a Kirk Cignetti from 2024 when Cignetti took over at Indiana. And what happened with Indiana's offense? Exploded. I think the same thing's going to happen with Southern Miss. 31, Missouri. They haven't named. The reason Missouri's not higher is because they haven't named a starting quarterback. If they had named a starting quarterback, they would probably be in the hot inside the top 15. But they're going to have a 2 QB system, which scares me. Because I remember as an Ohio State fan when we had Devin Brown and Kyle McCord as co-starting quarterbacks. It was not fun. So Missouri fans, be warned. Number 30, Iowa State. We've already seen Iowa State play one game, and their offense is going to be good. I am really high on Rocco Beck. 29, Michigan State. I think this is the year we see Michigan State win more than 6 games, and Aiden Childs takes another step up. And this Michigan State offense, as you see how high I am on them, is inside the top 30 in the country for offense. 28, Baylor. Sawyer Robertson's back. They have both their running backs back. Dave Aranda is back for another year. I believe in this Baylor team. 27, South Florida. I didn't want to put South Florida too high because then people are going to be like, why are they inside like the top 15? So 27, I felt like was the right spot for them. Byron Brown's back. He got year 3 under Alex Golish. The first 2 years have been a success for South Florida. 26, Michigan. And they just the other day named Bryce Underwood the starter, which I think is a smart decision. Let the freshman play. I know you've heard me on the other podcast I run say, why don't you sit the freshman? It's not that I'm backtracking. I think it's actually a good choice to let the kid play. 25, Ole Miss. Austin Simmons is their quarterback, and it's Lane Kiffin, offensive-minded head coach. And I really like Austin Simmons. 24, Washington. I think Washington's offense is going to be really good. We get to the top 20 offenses now. 23 through 16. At 23 is Louisville. Miller Moss. I like the change of scenery here for Miller Moss going to Louisville. Jeff Brom knows how to develop quarterbacks. Not saying Lincoln Riley doesn't, because Caleb Williams is in the NFL and he was under Lincoln Riley. But I feel like the move for Miller Moss is going to be really good. 22, Boise State. And Boise State at 22, home run. Their offense is still going to be really good even without Ashton Genty. 21, Arizona State. Jordan Tyson's back. Sam Levitt's back. Yes, they did lose Cam Scotabo, but I still like their offense a lot. 20, and I know what people are going to say. Alabama is the 20th ranked offense to me. Really good offensive line. Ty Simpson at quarterback. Jam Miller is going to be out for a while, but I don't think that's going to hinder the opportunity for Alabama to win games. My 19th ranked offense is Florida State. 18. In Florida State, it's Thomas Castellanos. Are we going to see a good Thomas Castellanos or are we going to see a bad Thomas Castellanos? 18, Miami of Ohio. Daquan Finn. 17, South Carolina. Lenore Sellers, Nick Harbor are going to be a threat in the SEC. If you don't want to blame me, you don't have to. 16, Virginia Tech. They returned Kyron Jones. They have a whole new offensive staff that I think I'm going to be really high on. And at some point this year, either on this podcast or my other one, we might be able to get an interview with Brett Pry, the head coach of Virginia Tech. At 15 through 8. So offensively, my top 15 offenses. At number 15, Kansas State. They lost by 3. They scored 21 points in a rain game in Dublin just 2 days ago against Iowa State, who you saw earlier in these offensive rankings. 14, Tulane. This is where Jake Retzloff went, and I believe he's probably going to, funny enough, start over who they originally had starting. So that is why Tulane is this high in the rankings. 13, West Virginia. Obvious reasons. Indiana at 12, Fernando Mendoza. Clemson at 11. Key Klubnik's back. And they return Antonio Williams on offense. Number 10, Oregon. Dante Moore's their quarterback. DeCorian Moore at receiver. Noah Whittington and Malachi Hughes at running back. Number 9, Texas Tech. They spent money in the portal. Number 8, Penn State. And yes, I know what Penn State fans are going to say. Why aren't we in the top 7? I understand you're returning Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Drew Aller, a lot of offensive linemen, a lot of guys on defense, which you'll see where your defense is ranked in a few minutes. But there's offenses that I feel are better. Top 7. Georgia's at number 7. Yes, I know what you're going to say. Gunnar Stockton. I'm kind of starting to buy into the Gunnar Stockton hype, and I know it might come back to hurt me, but I am buying into that stock. 6, LSU. Garrett Nussmeier, and they got a lot of experience at quarterback. 5, Texas A&M. Marcel Reed's back. Le'Veon Moss. And they got a lot of good wide receivers. 4, Oklahoma. John Mateer. And I really, out of all the quarterbacks in the SEC, I am super high on John Mateer. My third-ranked offense, Ohio State. Yes, I understand Julian Sayin has never started a game, but you still got the best wide receiver in the country on your team, and that is Jeremiah Smith. I know Alabama fans are going to argue and say, oh, Ryan Williams is a better wide receiver than Jeremiah Smith. No. Number 2, Florida. And the number 2 ranked offense for me is the Gators. And DJ Lagway, if he could stay healthy, I don't have an issue with Florida being the second best offense. And number 1, Texas. Texas is going to be the number 1 offense. Arch Manning, Tavion Reisner, CJ Baxter, Ryan Wingo. And here's the teams that just missed out on the rankings. Purdue at 71, Jacksonville State 72, Georgia Southern 73, 74 FIU, and Sam Houston 75. Now, we get to my top 15 quarterbacks for the 2025 season. I don't understand why it's doing that. Top 15 quarterbacks. Number 15, Julian Sayin. Yes, Saturday will be his first start in college football, but I want to believe and will believe that he's going to be good. 14, Ty Simpson, Alabama. I said it in the offensive rankings. Experienced quarterback, really good. He's played sparingly, but he is the most experienced quarterback on that Alabama roster. Number 13, Sawyer Robertson, Baylor. Again, Sawyer Robertson, another one that's really good. 12, Byron Brown. Byron Brown missed the last half of last year with an injury, but he is back and ready to go. 11, Drew Aller. I don't get, yes, I understand people are going to say, oh, why is Drew Aller behind a guy like Bryce Underwood? I will explain in a second why. Drew Aller, yes, he's good, but he struggles in the big games, just like Penn State does. Number 10, Bryce Underwood, Michigan. And let me fix that. Bryce Underwood. And I told you I would talk about Bryce Underwood. I feel like he's going to be really good. He just needs to develop and grow. Number 9, Garrett Nussmeier, LSU. He came back for his senior year, and I feel like that was a good choice. Dante Moore at 8. 7, Cade Klubnik. 6, Luke Altmaier. Austin Simmons at 5. 4 is Sam Levitt, because I got some pushback when I did these rankings before in the springtime from a couple Arizona State fans that said, oh, Sam Levitt's a top 10 quarterback. And yes, I completely agree that he is a top 10 quarterback, especially now with Jordan Tyson being back. Number 3, Kevin Jennings. 2, Arch Manning. 1, Dylan Raiola. And now we take a look at the defensive rankings. Go here. At number 70, again, is Maryland. Some of these teams are near Boston College's offense. I did not rank. Some of these teams you're seeing for the first time in the rankings because of their defense. Maryland at number 70, just like their offense, their defense has a lot to be left desired. 69, Boston College. Bill O'Brien's not a defensive-minded head coach. He's an offensive-minded head coach, and I don't trust Boston College's defense. 68, Colorado State. We saw their defense last year. It was horrible. Their defense this year is probably going to be the same thing. That's why they're at 68. 67, Arkansas. Now, they did make some noticeable additions on the defense, but I don't think that's going to help them. 66, Florida Atlantic. It's a whole new staff, including defensively, and they have a lot of new transfers that came in with the defensive coordinator from his old school, and same with the head coach. So I feel like this is the right spot for a team like Florida Atlantic right now. 65, Rutgers. Self-explanatory. Schiano is a kind of a defensive head coach, but he doesn't pass the needle a lot defensively. 64, App State. I don't know if I trust their defense a lot. 63 through 56. And at 63 is Central Michigan. And Central Michigan, I said this about their offense, and I'm going to say the same thing about their defense. Potential. They have a lot of potential. They have a lot of young guys that are going to get playing time. And 62, Jacksonville State. Their offense was right outside the top 70. Their defense is at number 62, as you see. I like the potential of their defense. They did play Western Kentucky in week 0. And yet, we know the first couple weeks of the season, defense is going to be a work in progress. But I think if they can improve during the season, that defense is going to be good in the Conference USA. 61, Wake Forest. Just like I said about Florida Atlantic, completely new staff in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at Wake Forest, offensively and defensively. But I think their defense, and the reason they're at number 61, I think their defense has a lot of room to be middle of the pack, maybe top 15 defense in the ACC. 60th ranked defense for me is Colorado. And Colorado fans, hate on me all you want. I get hate from every fan base. I don't believe in your defensive scheme. And you're replacing a lot. You lost Travis Hunter, you lost Shiloh Sanders, and you have to replace Travis Hunter and Shiloh, who are your best two defensive players. At number 59 is Northwestern. I don't see any way Northwestern's defense finishes top 15 at the end of the season. And I do like some of the moves they made on defense. They got a new defense. I believe they got a new defensive coordinator. 58, Kentucky. Yes, I have Kentucky's defense ranked higher than the offense because Mark Stoops is a defensive minded head coach, and I like some of the moves some of the players they brought in defensively through the portal, and I think they're going to make a big impact, and that might be the only way Kentucky makes a bowl game. 57, TCU, and it's going to be a test for them the first week of the season. They play North Carolina, so we'll really see how good TCU's defense actually is. 56, North Carolina State. They've got ECU to start the season. And we'll see if North Carolina State can keep East Carolina under 30 points. I'm not betting that they can, but then again, I'm not a betting man. 53, 55 through 40. At 55 is San Diego State. They've always been known to have a top 50-ish defense in college football, and I think it's going to be that way again this year. I really do. I like their defensive line. I like their linebacking core, secondary. 54, Purdue. Barry Odom was the defensive coordinator for, I want to say, no, he was the head coach at UNLV, and he brought a lot of his guys from UNLV to Purdue, and I like what he's building there in West Lafayette, and I think Purdue is going to have a surprising season. By the way, before I get to number 53, Thursday, noon, over on my Patreon, which is linked in my bio of my YouTube channel, I will have a video with my futures bets I like for college football, the MVP chart. If you don't get to see it tonight, my top 25, which comes out tomorrow, and a Q&A. That is Thursday at noon on Patreon, which is free. $3.99. Back to the rankings. 53, North Carolina. Bill Belichick is now the head coach there, and his son, Steve, is the defense coordinator. I think North Carolina's defense might be sneaky good. Southern Cal's at 52. Lincoln Riley. I mean, I couldn't put them any higher because we know their one bugaboo and why they can't make the playoff in recent years has been their defense. Now, can their defense turn it around and actually be good this year? I think so. 51, Memphis. Group of 5. I think they're actually going to be good on defense this year. I think their defense is going to be a little bit better than their offense. 50, Toledo. Kind of obvious. Toledo, the MAC, is always known for low-scoring games, and Toledo's going to have one of the better defenses in that conference. 49, Missouri. Yes, Missouri fans, you made it into the defensive rankings. I don't know how happy I am about you being at 49, but I think you're going to have a decently good defense. 48, BYU. Same thing that I said about their offense. Defensively, I think BYU is going to be a lot better on defense than they are on offense. 47 through 40. You got the two militaries, the two academies at 47 and 46. Navy, Army, and Navy. They're interchangeable. You could, if you wanted to, in your defense rankings, you could easily flip them. Navy could be 47. Army could be 46. But they're deep. Both. We start with Navy. We start with Army at 47. Army's defense last year is the whole reason they were undefeated for most of the season. And same with Navy. Fresno State at 45. I don't know what to say. This is probably the perfect place for them. Wisconsin at 44. You would think I'd have Wisconsin higher because Luke Fickell's their head coach, and I don't want to say he's a defensive-minded head coach, but I feel like they're underwhelming on defense. Bowling Green at 43. I don't know what to say about Bowling Green. Coastal Carolina at 42. I think Coastal Carolina is going to have another good defensive unit this year. 41, Michigan State. Michigan State fans, don't get mad at me. I like your defense, but it has room for improvement. 40, Duke. I said this last week on the show. I was wrong about Manny Diaz. I admit, Manny Diaz surprised me in his return to being a head coach. I was shocked how good he was at Duke last year as a head coach. Because he's the defensive-minded head coach. 39 through 32. 39. We've got Tulane. I like their defense, but they've got some holes to fill on defense. 38. UCLA. Just like I said about UCLA's offense, I think UCLA's defense might sneak up on people and surprise them. 37. Iowa. Iowa's always been known for their defense, and I think this is another year where you're going to say, Iowa's defense is on the field. They're going to get a stop. 36, Iowa State. Yes, I know they gave up 21 points to Kansas State, but I still believe in that defense. 35, Illinois. I reluctantly put Illinois here. Just, you can see by my facial expression, I don't trust Illinois. I really don't. 34, Oklahoma. Can we get a better defense this year, Oklahoma? Please? Begging you. 33, Liberty. 32, Ohio. 31 through 24. 31, East Carolina. You saw North Carolina State earlier in rankings. East Carolina's opponent week 1. ECU, I really like their defense this year. 30, Nebraska. And I'm going to say this. At the end of this segment, I have an announcement to make about Thursday. Because, yes, you still get a podcast episode Thursday, but it's going to be NFL because I'll explain the rest in a minute. Nebraska's at 30. Tony White is the new defense coordinator at Nebraska. And I like that hire for their defense. Their defense was not very good last year. I think it's going to be a lot better this year. At 29 is Virginia Tech. Yes, I know they had some hit or miss games on defense last year. I think their defense is going to be a lot better this year. Georgia Tech. Don't sleep on Georgia Tech's defense. They're inside the top 30 for a reason. A lot of potential. 27, Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is another team that, again, in the MAC, they're going to have one of the better defenses in the MAC. That's why they're at 27. South Florida, it's 26, correction. Washington. I think Washington's another team that's going to have a good defense this year. And don't be surprised when they win 9 games and maybe get into the Big Ten title game. 25, South Florida. I think USF, they have a lot of experience on defense. That is why they're voted all the way up into the top 25 defense on defense. 24, Texas Tech. This one is simple. They splurged big time in the transfer portal to upgrade their defense. 23 through 8. Number 23, Kansas State. I know they gave up 24 points, but I like their defense a lot. 22, South Carolina. Their defense is going to be good. Dylan Stewart's back. And they've got a lot of experience on the defensive side of the football. 21, Boise State. Same thing. They return a lot of production on defense. 20, Miami, Florida. It's Mario Cristobal. He's a defensive-minded head coach. And I believe in that defense. I'm buying into Miami that they're going to have a good defense this year. I hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, then yell at me all you want. 19, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin. That's all I need to say. 18, Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost a ton. They lost Benjamin Morrison. They lost a lot on defense last year, but they did also have a bunch of guys come back. And they have a bunch of underclassmen that are going to step in and play. 17, Arizona State. Simple. Kenny Dillingham knows how to recruit defense, and he's going to do it again. 16, Baylor. And I'm going to speed run through the rest. 16, Baylor. 15, Michigan. 14, Georgia. 13, LSU. Clemson, 12. 11, Oregon. 10, Indiana. 9. Here's where I'm going to briefly say Penn State at number 9. Their defense tends to choke at the end of the season. Is it going to be the same this year? Who knows? We'll see. 8, Florida. Top 7. Number 7 defense in 2025 for the Blitzing Glory podcast is Texas A&M. Number 6, SMU. 5, Tennessee. 4, Louisville. 3, Alabama. 2, Ohio State. 1, Texas. And the teams that just missed out: Texas State, Kansas, Houston, Ball State, Rice. And I will be making that announcement in a second. And the announcement is Thursday. I said during the rankings that there will be a podcast episode. It'll be the NFL, and it'll be me recapping the NFL draft. Thursday night and Saturday night. Thursday night, I will be doing a play-by-play for 2 college football games. One at 5:30, which is South Florida and Boise State. And then at 9, Nebraska and Cincinnati. And then Saturday night, 7:30, LSU Clemson. Catch both of those here on this YouTube channel, as well as the Blitz and Glory podcast has official merch that you can buy. I highly recommend it. And please remember, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And leave your comments down below in the comment section on the video of what your expectations are for the 2025 college football season. And if you agree or disagree with my offense and defensive rankings and my top 15 quarterbacks. But and I will be back tonight at 10 p.m. for week 1 MVP chart. Please tune in. I highly recommend it. Don't want to miss out. Have a good day, everyone.